Hello, my name is Kylee Lary, and this is my Foundations of Psychology final project presentation. There we go. So, my dream career as of now, it's changed around a lot, but right now I am planning on being a neuropsychologist. So, neuropsychologists mainly focus on studying how mostly outside behaviors, influences, other factors, how those all affect the brain and the different functions that go on in the brain. They also look at a lot of different health issues and how different factors from that can affect the nervous system and, just overall functions that the brain needs to do. They often work directly with patients and neurologists to help figure out, if they have a certain health issue, how that may be affecting the brain. Personally, I'm really interested in going into a field of neuropsychology that focuses on how different drugs and medicine can affect the brain. That's always just interested me in the past few years, so I would love to go into a field that focuses on that primarily. So, how it relates to psychology. So, obviously, neuropsychology is related to psychology because it focuses on the brain, as I've mentioned, and how it mainly is a field of cognitive and behavioral neuroscience psychology. Looking at the different things we've studied in class, I think that one of the most important things that we've talked about that would be related to neuropsychology is neuroimaging. So, doing different brain scans, MRIs, either, you know, comparing that to a normal healthy brain and then how different factors can affect different parts of the brain would be extremely helpful, and also just understanding the anatomy of the brain, that's also going to be a crucial part of neuropsychology as to understanding what the different parts of the brain do, so you know what areas are being affected and um what processes of different parts of the brain are being affected. I also think that understanding Piaget's stages of cognitive development would be helpful, because if you're looking at a patient, especially someone younger whose brain is still undergoing development, it would be extremely helpful to know what actions are normal and how the brain, it's still going to be developing, it's still going to be growing. So, for example, in stage 3 of Piaget's stages of cognitive development, one of them, initiative versus guilt, a child may become extremely insecure about their abilities because they want to know everything and they want to be really good at what they're learning. So if they become frustrated with themselves, they might lash out on their parents or other people around them, when, you have to know that that's completely normal at that stage, and there's likely no other big issue going on with that. Some more information about neuropsychologists. So, to become a licensed neuropsychologist, you're almost extremely likely going to need a PhD or a PsyD. Some more entry-level jobs, just assisting neuropsychologists, helping with very basic testing and research, they will very likely accept a bachelor's or master's degree. But if you want to get top-of-the-line neuropsychologist, you're going to need bachelor's, master's, doctorate, and several years of supervised training with other professionals. So the whole process can take anywhere from about 10 to 13 years, more or less, depending on how quickly you can get those degrees. The average yearly salary for neuropsychologists, depending on location and the current need for them, can range anywhere from $77,000 to $123,000 a year. Currently, the demand for neuropsychologists is going up, with an expected annual increase of 4.84% over the next several years. So you can see in this graph, this is what it's been in the past several years, and this was the projected outcome for 2020, I believe. One ad that I found for, just a very basic starting career if you're looking into being a neuropsychologist, this actually really interested me. It's being an assistant neuroscience research coordinator at Stanford Medicine in Belmont, California, which is a place that I'm possibly interested in moving to in the future. This job is going to include a lot of research in lab, working with other certified neuropsychologists. Right now, Stanford is doing a lot of research in patients that have Alzheimer's disease and how that can affect different functions in the brain. The only required amount of education is a 2-year college degree, but they do prefer having a bachelor's degree in some kind of science, preferably psychology. But any bachelor's of science degree is accepted. There are lots of different interesting tasks involved with this job. Administering questionnaires, tests, working with patients, reviewing those tests, measuring accuracy of them, extracting data from them. A lot of data collection goes on in this field because, so much of it is research and test-based. Preparing specimens and samples from these experiments. Those are just a few of the many responsibilities in this job, so it really did interest me, and it's something that would be possible to get with just a bachelor's degree. Something more advanced that I found later on in the future, once, you have your bachelor's, master's, doctorate, all those previous requirements that I talked about. A current upper level job that I found is being a, licensed neuropsychologist in Bakersfield, California at the Pacific Coast Psychology Group. You do need a doctorate degree, that is required. The annual expected pay is around $110,000 to $130,000, so you could be making 6 digits a year with this job. It has very similar duties to the previous job that I mentioned. You're just going to be, in charge of a lot of it more, running the experiments, just being the head of all of it pretty much. And, just overall, it's going to be, you're going to get better benefits, better pay. Just everything is going to be a lot more advanced because you're going to have those higher qualifications. And then lastly, some beneficial psychology courses that I think would be extremely helpful for me while at Alma. One of these being psychopharmacology. It focuses on, quote, the behavioral effects of psychoactive substances with an emphasis on how drugs affect the brain. And that is almost a perfect definition of what I want to do as a neuropsychologist, really focusing on how outside substances, drugs, even just basic, prescribed medication, how, the different side effects of those, what those are, what areas of the brain they affect, all of that. It really interests me, so I'm definitely planning on taking that at some point. Also, Psych 225 research methods. It doesn't necessarily, apply just to psychology, but really in many different fields. It just focuses on analyzing data, how, basic research is done in a lot of fields. So again, a lot of neuropsychologists focus on research and running tests, so I think that would be extremely beneficial. And lastly, Psych 356, the neuroscience seminar, that's focused on examining neurons in the brain, so getting a bit more into the chemical side of it sounds like, and just a lot more of the behavior side of it, so studying, how different outside behaviors and actions, how those can affect the brain. So yeah, that is all I have. Thank you.